is Wednesday before Labor Day weekend, and it's a crazy rainy day with thunder, lightning, heavy rain. And when it's raining, I love to do two things. One is read, which I did this morning, and two is bake. So I figured today's the perfect day to bake the crostata for you. What I love about this crostata is the dough is super simple, and you can use it any time of year, winter, fall, spring, summer. And basically you just change the filling. You use any seasonal fruit. You know, I'm gonna use peaches and blueberries because that's what's available at the farm stands right now. This dough is super flaky. It has a little bit of tang in it due to the apple cider vinegar that I put into the dough. One of the tricks to a super flaky dough is cubing your butter and popping it in the freezer for about 30 minutes before you put it into the food processor. You really don't want to over-process your dough. Over-processing kind of makes it all the butter dissipate too much. You actually want like small pea-sized pieces of butter in the dough so that when you cook it, those little pockets of butter kind of release and it almost creates this like flaky layer to your pastry. I love to use a little bit of herb, so I'm going to put some fresh thyme and lemon zest. I'm going to kind of rub the herb and lemon zest together with the sugar, and rubbing those herbs with the sugar and the zest is going to release the flavors even more. Often what I do with the dough is I make a double batch, and you can put the dough in the freezer and it'll hold for like 1 or 2 months. So if you're gonna go through the process of making the dough, why not make a double batch? This way when you want to make another crostata or galette, you could use either name, you have the dough ready in a pinch. Let me know as always if you like it and share photos. So I forgot to mention that this is a recipe that's in Cook Beautiful. In Cook Beautiful, I break it up into 4 mini crostatas, and I use blackberries and peaches. But you could use the same recipe and the same dough for 1 large crostata. So just to let you know, it's in the book, but I will also share it and a swipe up to EyeSwoon for you to get the recipe. 4 ounces of unsalted butter, which is basically 1 stick of butter. And I am going to cut it into small cubes and then pop it into the freezer, as I mentioned earlier. So any butter will of course do, but I really like to use good quality butter when I can, when I'm baking, especially for a dough, because you really do butter is like the most essential ingredient in a really good pastry. So if you can, get a European style butter. I don't know if you could see this, but a European style butter, you almost like see these pockets of fat in the butter, and it just is a much more superior outcome in your pastry. I am going to put these cubes in a bowl and pop it into the freezer now. I really love to use my Cuisinart food processor when I'm making a dough. I've measured out 1.5 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar. And you know, a lot of doughs actually don't even call for sugar, so if you prefer to eliminate it, go right ahead. 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. I will wait for my butter to chill just a little bit more. Then I'm going to take apple cider vinegar and I'm going to put it in a bowl with some ice cubes and water. And that's going to be the liquid that's really going to bind and hold together my dry ingredients. All right, so I have all of those elements, and I'm just gonna literally rub the sugar together with the herbs and the lemon, and it's basically like scented sugar at that point, releasing all of the kind of natural oils that are in the zest as well as in the herb. All right, so I'm literally just gonna dump that right over our peaches. Well, my butter is nice and chilled now. I have all the other ingredients for my dough already in the bowl of the food processor. Pulse just these dry ingredients. Then slowly, little bits at a time, I'm gonna pulse as I put the frozen butter in. So you never want to keep the food processor going on continuously because it'll overwork the dough. I'm going to put the wet ingredients in now, which is basically some apple cider vinegar with some water and ice cubes. So I have a 1/4 cup of water right there. I am going to add 1 tablespoon apple cider vinegar. And my freezer recently broke and is not producing any ice cubes, so I'm gonna have to eliminate the ice cubes. Okay, so again, I'm gonna slowly pour in the water and apple cider mixture as I'm pulsing. So when you touch it and squeeze it, it should stay together. This feels still a touch too dry, so I'm gonna add a little bit more. Perfect, it's absolutely perfect consistency. I'm gonna raise it up so you guys can see it a little bit better. I have a piece of parchment paper, which is going to be your best friend if you love to bake. So I want to make a disc, make it round at this point, make it even so that when it comes out of the refrigerator, it's already in the shape that I want it to be when I roll it out. But the thing about a crostata or a galette, it's basically just a rustic kind of tart, and there's no way for you to mess it up. Okay, into the refrigerator it goes. Here is my dough that I just took out of the fridge. It's been in there for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'm gonna unfold it and use another piece of parchment paper. Press outward in every direction. From the center, pushing outward. So you can see there's a little bit of liquid that's accumulated from the peaches just kind of releasing their juices once coupled with the citrus and with the sugar. I'm actually gonna add a little more liquid. I'm gonna add some vanilla extract and further some lemon. I'm gonna add my blueberries in now. And then just a little bit of a sprinkle, maybe about 1 or 2 teaspoons, just to absorb some of that juice. Just gonna make sure that the dough is released from the parchment so that when I fold it over, it's not sticking to the parchment paper. So this is my favorite part because there really is no way to mess it up. You just take the parchment and you kind of fold it just like that right over the fruit. Take an egg. I also have some raw turbinado sugar. I'm literally just gonna pull it right onto that sheet pan.